was a warm Saturday morning in the suburbs of Willow Creek, a quiet neighborhood where houses looked almost the same. White fences, neat lawns, and mailboxes standing in perfect rows. Angela had just moved back into her late grandmother's house. The place meant everything to her. She grew up here, running through the yard in bare feet, helping her grandma plant roses by the porch, and listening to stories on the swing during summer nights. When her grandmother passed away, Angela inherited the home. After some years of living in the city, she decided to return and make it her permanent home. To Angela, this was more than a house. It was her history, her safety, her future. But not everyone saw it that way. Across the street lived Karen, the head of the local HOA, Homeowners Association. Karen was in her mid-50s, with sharp eyes that always seemed to be scanning for problems. She believed it was her job to keep order in the neighborhood, but in truth she enjoyed the power. She had chased people down for leaving trash cans out too long, complained about cars parked a few inches off the curb, and even lectured kids for riding bikes on the sidewalk. When Angela first pulled into the driveway with her moving truck, Karen was watching. Arms crossed, lips pursed. She didn't smile, didn't wave, just stared. Angela noticed but tried to ignore it. She was used to people like that. The next morning, as Angela unpacked boxes, she heard a sharp knock on her door. When she opened it, there was Karen, standing stiff like a soldier, holding a clipboard. "Hi," Angela said politely. Karen didn't smile. "Yes, hello. I'm Karen, head of the Willow Creek HOA. I just wanted to let you know that renters in this neighborhood are required to register with us. We need to know the terms of your lease, how long you'll be staying, and of course, you'll need to sign our rules agreement." Angela raised an eyebrow. "Renters?" "Yes," Karen replied firmly. "This is a single-family neighborhood. Owners only. No short-term rentals, no subletting. So I'll need your landlord's contact information." Angela took a slow breath, trying to keep calm. "Actually, I'm not renting. This is my house. I own it." Karen blinked as if she hadn't heard correctly. "Excuse me? I own this house," Angela repeated, her voice steady. "It belonged to my grandmother. She left it to me." Karen's jaw tightened. She looked Angela up and down, her eyes narrowing. "That's unusual. We'll need to see proof of ownership. Do you have paperwork? A deed? Because if you're not supposed to be here, the HOA has the right to—" Angela cut her off. "I don't need to show you anything right now. I live here. This is my home." Karen's face turned red. She wasn't used to people standing up to her. "We'll see about that," she snapped, before storming off the porch. Angela closed the door, shaking her head. She could feel the weight of what was coming. She knew Karen wasn't going to let this go easily. 2 days later, Angela got a letter in her mailbox. It was from the HOA, claiming she was in violation of neighborhood rules and demanding she vacate the property immediately or face legal action. Angela laughed bitterly when she read it. Legal action? For living in my own house? She knew what this was really about. It wasn't about rules or paperwork. It was about Karen not believing she belonged there. That night, Angela called her best friend, Lisa. "You're not going to believe this," Angela said over the phone. "The HOA sent me a letter saying I have to move out." Lisa gasped. "What? They can't do that. You own that house." "I know," Angela sighed. "But Karen, the head of the HOA, has already decided I don't belong here. And she's not going to stop until she tries to push me out." Lisa's voice grew firm. "Then you need to fight back. Don't let her bully you. That's your house, Angela. You have every right to be there." Angela nodded, even though Lisa couldn't see her. "Yeah, you're right. I didn't think I'd have to fight for my own home." The next morning, Angela stood on her porch with a cup of coffee, staring across the street at Karen's house. She saw Karen in her front yard, whispering to another neighbor, pointing at Angela's home. The neighbor looked uncomfortable but nodded along. Angela's stomach tightened. She hated feeling like people were talking about her, judging her without even knowing her. But she wasn't going to back down. She walked back inside, pulled out a folder from her desk, and looked at the deed to the house. Her grandmother's name was on it, and so was hers. She smiled softly, remembering her grandmother's words. "This house will always be yours. Don't let anyone take it away from you," Angela whispered. "Don't worry, Grandma. I won't." If you were in Angela's shoes, what would you do? Would you confront Karen directly or wait and fight through legal channels? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for the next part of this story. And so, the battle between Angela and Karen was just beginning. Angela didn't know yet how far Karen was willing to go, but she was ready to stand her ground, because this time, she wasn't just protecting a house, she was protecting her right to belong. The sun was barely up when Angela heard the sound of footsteps outside. She peeked through her curtains and saw Karen, clipboard in hand, walking slowly around her yard. She was writing things down, circling Angela's mailbox, looking at her lawn, and even bending to check the paint on the fence. Angela's jaw tightened. She stepped outside. "Good morning, Karen. Can I help you with something?" Karen straightened up, pretending to smile. "Oh, don't mind me. Just doing an inspection. HOA business, you know." "This is my private property," Angela said firmly. "You can't just walk around my yard without permission." Karen tilted her head, her fake smile fading. "When someone moves into this community, they agree to follow our rules. And as head of the HOA, I have every right to make sure those rules are being followed. Now, I noticed your mailbox is a 1/4 inch shorter than regulation height. That's a violation." Angela almost laughed. "A 1/4 inch? Seriously?" "Rules are rules," Karen said coldly. "And if you continue to violate them, we'll have no choice but to fine you. Of course, if you don't pay, you'll be forced to leave." Angela stepped closer, her voice calm but strong. "You can send me all the fake fines you want, but this is my home and I'm not going anywhere." Karen's eyes narrowed. For the first time, she didn't have a quick comeback. She turned sharply and walked away, muttering under her breath. Later that week, Angela started getting strange looks from neighbors. A couple walking. Their dog crossed the street, instead of passing in front of her house. Kids who used to play basketball near her driveway now stayed far away. She overheard whispers. "She's not supposed to be here. Karen said she's just renting. She's breaking the rules." Angela's heart sank. It wasn't just Karen now. She was poisoning the whole neighborhood against her. That night, Lisa came over. The two women sat in the living room, boxes still half unpacked around them. Lisa shook her head. "She's trying to isolate you." Classic bully move. "If she can get everyone else to believe her lies, she thinks you'll give up." Angela rubbed her temples. "It's working. I can feel the stares every time I step outside. Like I'm some kind of criminal. Then it's time to hit back harder," Lisa said. "Do you have proof of ownership?" Angela nodded and pulled out the folder with the deed. Lisa looked at it, then smiled. "Perfect. You need to make this public. Don't just fight Karen in the dark. Let everyone see the truth." Angela hesitated. "But what if they still don't believe me?" Lisa leaned forward. "Then at least they'll know you're not scared. And sometimes that's enough to shift the power." The next day, Angela printed copies of her deed and the official letter from the county that confirmed she was the homeowner. She placed them in a clear binder and carried it with her as she walked to the HOA meeting that evening. The meeting was held in the community center, a small building near the park. When Angela walked in, all eyes turned to her. Karen stood at the front, dressed in a crisp blouse, looking smug. "Well," Karen said loudly, "looks like we have our new tenant here. Don't worry, everyone, I'll be addressing her violations tonight." A few people chuckled. Others just looked uncomfortable. Angela didn't sit down. She walked straight to the front, her binder in hand. "Before you say another word, Karen, I want everyone here to see something." Karen frowned. "This isn't your turn to speak." Angela held up the binder. "This is the deed to my house. My grandmother bought it 30 years ago, and she left it to me. I am the legal owner, and I have every right to live there. So stop calling me a renter. Stop spreading lies, and stop trying to intimidate me out of my own home." The room went silent. A few neighbors leaned forward, clearly curious. Angela opened the binder and passed it to the couple in the front row. They looked through the pages, nodded, and passed it along. Karen's face turned red. "That doesn't change the fact that you're in violation." Angela cut her off. "No, Karen, you're in violation. You've been trespassing on my property. You've been harassing me, and you've been spreading false information to this community. If you don't stop, I'll have no choice but to take legal action." Murmurs spread across the room. Some neighbors whispered things like, "She's right, and that's not fair. Karen's mouth opened, but no words came out. For the first time, she looked unsure of herself. Angela stood tall. I'm not leaving. This is my home, and no one, especially not you, is going to take it away from me. She turned and walked out, her head held high. Back home, Angela sat on the porch swing, her grandmother's roses blooming beside her. For the first time in weeks, she felt a little lighter. She had stood up to Karen. She had told the truth, and people had listened. But deep down, she knew this wasn't over. Karen wasn't the type to give up. And Angela was right, because that very night, Karen sat at her dining table, typing furiously on her laptop. Her eyes glowed with determination. If she couldn't scare Angela out, she'd find another way. She whispered to herself, she thinks she can win. She has no idea who she's dealing with. What do you think, will... The neighbors sighed with Angela. Now that they've seen the proof, or will Karen find a way to twist things again? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to hit subscribe so you don't miss part 3 of this story. For a few days, things in Willow Creek were quiet. Neighbors still gave Angela the occasional side-eye, but the whispers had slowed. A few even waved at her again. It seemed like her bold move at the HOA meeting had worked, at least for the moment. Angela took advantage of the calm. She started unpacking the last of her boxes, hanging her grandmother's old quilt in the living room, and planting fresh flowers along the walkway. Every touch made the house feel more like hers again. But Karen wasn't gone. She was watching, always watching. Angela noticed her blinds twitch whenever she stepped outside. If Angela watered her plants, Karen was there, standing in her yard pretending to check the mail. If Angela brought groceries inside, Karen's car would creep slowly past her driveway. Lisa came by one evening and noticed it too. She's obsessed, Lisa muttered, glaring across the street. This isn't just about HOA rules anymore. It's personal, Angela sighed. Yeah, she doesn't want me here. And the worst part is she still thinks she can push me out. Lisa leaned closer. Then maybe it's time to flip the script. Instead of waiting for her next move, you make yours. Angela tilted her head. What do you mean? Find out what she's up to. People like her always leave a trail. If she's planning something, we need to know. Angela hesitated, then nodded. You're right. If she's going to keep coming after me, I need to be ready. The following week, Angela got a knock on her door. When she opened it, there was a city code enforcement officer holding a clipboard. Ma'am, we received a complaint about your property. Something about unsafe wiring, illegal modifications to the garage, and improper fencing. Angela blinked. What? None of that is true. Who filed the complaint? The officer sighed. I can't say, but between us, it was anonymous. These things usually are. He glanced around. I'll just need to take a quick look, but honestly, this house looks fine. Angela let him in. He checked the outlets, walked through the garage, and inspected the fence. In less than 10 minutes, he shook his head. This place is perfectly fine. I'll close the complaint as unfounded. Sorry for the trouble. Angela forced a smile. Thanks for being fair. As he drove off, Angela stood in her yard, her hands on her hips. She didn't need to guess who filed that complaint. She looked straight across the street at Karen's house. Sure enough, Karen's blinds shifted. Angela whispered, Of course it was you. That night, Angela vented to Lisa on the phone. She called the city on me, Lisa. She's trying to get me fined, maybe even condemned. She's crossing the line. Lisa's voice was calm but firm. Then it's time you start documenting everything. Every letter, every visit, every complaint. Because if this goes to court, you'll need proof. Angela nodded slowly. You're right. If she wants a war, then I'll fight it on my terms. The very next morning, Angela began keeping a notebook. She wrote down every time Karen came near her property. She saved copies of every letter. From the HOA, she even set up a small security camera above her porch. And it didn't take long before the camera caught something. At 10 p.m., Angela was sitting in her living room when her phone buzzed with a motion alert. She opened the app and gasped. There was Karen, standing at the edge of her yard with a flashlight, peering at her house. Angela's hands shook as she watched the live feed. Karen bent down, pulled out a tape measure, and started measuring the fence again. Then she scribbled in her notebook and walked away. Angela whispered, Got you! The next HOA meeting came 2 weeks later. Angela knew Karen would try something. She arrived early, binder and notebook in hand. Karen was already at the front, flipping through her papers with a satisfied smirk. As head of this association, Karen began, I have serious concerns about the safety of one of our properties. Numerous violations, late fees, and a general disregard for community standards. I believe we should take action to remove... Angela stood. Before you finish that sentence, I'd like to share something. The room turned toward her. Angela walked to the front, holding up her phone. This is video from last week. Take a look. She pressed play. The footage showed Karen creeping into her yard, tape measure in hand. Gasps filled the room. Someone whispered, Is that Karen? Angela's voice was steady. This is the head of our HOA, trespassing on my property at night. Making up false violations. Filing fake complaints. Is this the leadership you want for this community? Karen's face turned pale. That's taken out of context. I was simply... Spying on me? Angela interrupted. Harassing me? Lying about me? Because that's what it looks like. The room buzzed with murmurs. Some neighbors shook their heads. A man in the back muttered, This is too much. Angela took a deep breath. I moved back here to honor my grandmother's memory. This is my home. I've done nothing wrong. But ever since I arrived, Karen has treated me like an outsider, like I don't belong. And now she's trying to use her position to drive me out. For a long moment, the room was silent. Then one neighbor, an older woman named Mrs. Diaz, stood up. She's telling the truth, Mrs. Diaz said firmly. I've seen Karen watching her house every day. This isn't about rules. It's about control. Others nodded in agreement. Someone added, Enough is enough. Angela felt a lump in her throat. For the first time, she wasn't standing alone. Karen's mouth opened and closed, but no words came out. She gathered her papers, her face red with rage, and stormed out of the room. That night, Angela sat on her porch swing again, the roses swaying gently in the evening breeze. For once, she felt the neighborhood behind her. She wasn't just the new woman who moved in. She was part of the community now. But deep down, she knew Karen wasn't finished. Someone like her never quit that easily, and Angela was right again. Inside her darkened house across the street, Karen whispered to herself, They may be on her side now, but I'll find a way. She'll regret ever moving back here. Do you think Karen will finally back down after being exposed? Or will she come back even stronger? Let me know in the comments and don't forget to subscribe. The days following the HOA meeting felt different. For the first time since moving back, Angela noticed her neighbors smiling at her. A couple even stopped to chat while walking their dogs, asking how she was settling in. It wasn't perfect, but the tide was turning. Angela felt hopeful. Maybe things would finally calm down. But Karen wasn't finished. One evening, Angela came home from the grocery store to find an envelope taped to her front door. She peeled it off and read the bold letters across the top. Notice of foreclosure proceedings. Her heart sank. She flipped through the papers, but quickly realized they were fake. No legal stamps, no signatures, no official letterhead, just scare tactics. Angela clenched her fists. She really won't stop. She called Lisa immediately. Lisa, she left fake foreclosure papers on my door. Lisa's voice rose. That's harassment. That's not just HOA nonsense. That's a crime. You need to call a lawyer. Angela exhaled. I've been trying to avoid it, but maybe you're right. She's crossing every line possible. The next morning, Angela scheduled an appointment with a local attorney, Mr. Walker. He listened carefully as Angela laid everything out. The fake violations, the false complaints, the late-night trespassing, and now the bogus foreclosure notice. Mr. Walker leaned back in his chair. Angela, you've documented everything beautifully. That's going to be your strongest weapon. What Karen is doing isn't just harassment, it's abuse of power. If she keeps this up, we can file a restraining order. We can also sue the HOA if they don't step in. Angela felt relief wash over her. So I actually have a case? More than a case, Mr. Walker said with a small smile. You have the truth, and truth wins in the end. Angela left his office with new determination. She wasn't going to let Karen bully her anymore. That evening, Angela sat on her porch swing, sipping tea when Mrs. Diaz from down the street walked over. Angela, she said softly, I wanted to say something. What Karen's been doing to you isn't right. I've lived here 20 years, and I've seen her pull tricks on others too. But no one ever stood up to her the way you have. You're braver than you think. Angela's eyes watered. Thank you, Mrs. Diaz. That means more than you know. The older woman nodded. Don't let her win. This neighborhood needs people like you. Angela smiled. I'm not going anywhere. Meanwhile, across the street, Karen was fuming. She sat at her kitchen table, surrounded by piles of paperwork. She couldn't believe how quickly the neighborhood had turned on her. First, they questioned her authority. Now they were siding with Angela. She thinks she's clever, Karen muttered. But I'll find her weak spot. Her phone buzzed. It was a message from another HOA board member. Karen, maybe it's time to step down. This is getting out of hand. Karen's face twisted with rage. Step down, never. She stared out the window at Angela's house, her glare sharp as knives. The next week, Angela got another, official-looking letter in her mailbox, this one claiming she owed thousands in unpaid HOA dues. She laughed bitterly. Unpaid dues? I've only lived here a month. She took the letter straight to Mr. Walker. He shook his head as he read it. Completely fraudulent. We'll add this to the file. If she keeps pushing, she'll destroy herself. Angela leaned forward. Good, because I want her to know she can't break me. The turning point came one Friday night. Angela was in her kitchen when she heard loud banging on her front door. She froze, then cautiously opened it. There was Karen, her face flushed, her voice trembling with anger. You don't belong here, Karen shouted. This neighborhood isn't for people like you. I will not let you ruin it. Angela's chest tightened. Karen, you need to leave. Right now. Karen pointed a finger in her face. You think owning that house makes you safe? It doesn't. I'll make sure you regret ever moving back. Angela held her ground. This is my home. My grandmother built her life here, and now I'm building mine. You can threaten me all you want, but I'm not going anywhere. Behind Karen, lights flicked on in several houses. Neighbors opened their doors, watching the confrontation. Some even pulled out their phones to record. Karen noticed and turned pale. She stumbled back, realizing too late that she'd shown her true self in front of everyone. Angela's voice rang out, calm but powerful. You see? This is what I've been dealing with. This is harassment. This is hate. And I won't be silent anymore. The neighbors murmured in agreement. Someone shouted, We're with you, Angela! Another voice added, Enough, Karen. Karen's face crumbled. For the first time, she wasn't in control. She turned and ran back to her house, slamming the door behind her. That night, Angela couldn't sleep. Her heart was still racing from the confrontation, but something inside her had shifted. She wasn't afraid anymore. She knew the neighborhood had seen the truth with their own eyes. And more importantly, she knew she had the strength to finish this fight. If you were standing on that street, would you have spoken up against Karen too? Tell me in the comments and don't forget to subscribe. The morning after Karen's outburst, Willow Creek felt different. Neighbors who had once avoided Angela now greeted her warmly. A man across the street offered to help fix her garden fence. A young couple waved as they walked their dog. Even the kids who had stopped playing nearby rolled their basketball back into her driveway with shy smiles. Angela felt the change. For the first time, she didn't feel like an outsider. She felt like she belonged. But Karen wasn't done. Later that week, Angela received a certified letter. It was from Karen herself, stamped with the HOA's seal. It demanded immediate payment of $5,000 in accumulated violations, and warned that the HOA would begin foreclosure if she didn't comply. Angela laughed bitterly. She really doesn't quit. This time she didn't get angry. She picked up her phone and called Mr. Walker, her attorney. Karen just sent me a fake bill for $5,000, Angela said. Mr. Walker sighed. Good, that's exactly what we needed. Angela, she's just handed us proof of fraud. We can take her to court and win. Angela smiled for the first time all week. Then let's do it. The court date came quickly. Angela, this house was Grandma's gift, and now it's my responsibility to make it a home again. Lisa nodded. And you will, because you already proved you're stronger than anyone who tried to take it away. Angela looked across the street at Karen's darkened house, then back at her own. This is my home, she whispered. And I'm never leaving again. What would you have done if you were in Angela's place? Would you have taken Karen to court or handled it another way? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss the next one.